All right, so are you ready to dive into something pretty interesting?
Always.
Okay, good. Because today we're taking a deep dive into the world of motivation and discipline.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, and more specifically, how to get things done,
Uh-huh.
even when they don't exactly spark joy.
Right. Those pesky tasks that we all have.
Exactly. And for this, we're going to be looking at this popular YouTube channel called Learn English Podcast.
Okay.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I've seen it around.
And the specific episode is called Stop Being So Undisciplined.
Catchy title.
I know, right? Gets you hooked.
Definitely.
But now you might be thinking, Learn English Podcast? What does that have to do with me?
Yeah, that's fair.
But stick with us here because this episode is seriously packed with insights
Oh, yeah.
that apply to pretty much any goal you're chasing.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Good. So this episode starts off talking about the role of interest.
Okay.
You know, that initial spark of excitement that gets us started on something new.
Right, like when you sign up for that pottery class.
Exactly. Or you finally buy that fancy camera you've been eyeing.
Uh-huh. But then what happens when that initial excitement fades?
You read my mind. That's exactly what we're going to uncover.
Okay, let's do it.
So the hosts of this YouTube episode,
Yeah.
their names are Gwen and Leo.
Okay.
They actually caution against relying too heavily on interest as a motivator.
Interesting. So how do they suggest we get things done then?
Well, one of the key things they highlight is the importance of connecting the task at hand to a larger purpose.
A larger purpose. Okay.
Yeah, something that truly resonates with your values.
So it's like figuring out why this matters to you beyond just checking it off your to-do list.
Exactly. So instead of just focusing on that overflowing closet that you need to clean out,
Oh, yeah, I've got one of those.
who doesn't, right?
You seriously?
You could think about how it connects to a bigger goal, like creating a more peaceful and organized living space.
I see. So it's about the bigger picture.
Exactly. And there's this theory in psychology called self-determination theory that supports this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it basically says we're more likely to stick with activities that feel intrinsically meaningful
Okay, that makes sense.
and aligned with our core values. So it's about finding that internal drive.
That keeps us going even when it's not so shiny and new anymore.
Exactly.
But what about those times when even our deepest sense of purpose isn't enough?
You're asking the right questions.
Mhm.
That's where discipline comes in.
Discipline. Okay.
It's that ability to show up and do the work.
Even when it's not exciting.
Exactly.
So if we think about it like building a muscle, the more we practice showing up,
Yeah.
the stronger our disciplined muscle becomes.
Exactly. And Gwen, the host of the YouTube episode, she has this great analogy.
Hell, I love a good analogy.
She compares discipline to eating your vegetables first.
Okay.
Like, it might not be the most appealing thing,
Right.
but you do it because you know it's good for you.
It's about the long game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of training ourselves,
Yes.
another powerful tool they discuss is habits.
Habits. Oh, absolutely.
So there's this fascinating Duke University study, okay?
That looked at the role of habits in the lives of successful individuals. And they found that consistent habits and routines
Yeah.
help them stay focused,
Right.
productive, and motivated, even when faced with challenges.
That's really interesting because it's like we brush our teeth every day without even thinking about it.
Right. It's a habit
Yeah, and it contributes to our overall health.
in a big way.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same with other habits, right?
totally
Even seemingly minor actions done consistently can create incredible momentum.
towards our goals. I love that.
But I think it's important to address a potential concern here.
Okay, what's that?
Some people might worry that prioritizing discipline and habits means sacrificing fun and spontaneity.
Right, I can see that.
But that's not what we're talking about.
So it's not about becoming a robot.
No, not at all.
No.
It's more about finding that balance between work and play.
Balance.
And actually, Gwen and Leo highlight the importance of this balance, too.
They do.
Yeah, they even mention a study from Stanford University. Interesting.
That found people who balance work and leisure activities
Uh-huh.
tend to be more productive.
Yeah.
A&D, more creative.
Wow. So it really is about finding that sustainable rhythm.
Exactly one that allows you to make progress
Yeah.
while still nurturing your passions and enjoying life.
So it's like dividing your day into blocks.
Yes.
Dedicated to work, hobbies, and rest.
Exactly. Making sure every aspect of your life gets the attention it deserves.
Love it. But let's be real, even with the best routines and strategies, some tasks are just plain boring.
Laundry, anyone.
Don't even get me started.
We can't always be working on those exciting projects.
No, definitely not.
But luckily, Gwen and Leo have some clever tips
Oh, good.
for injecting a bit of fun into even the most mundane chores.
Okay, I'm all ears.
One suggestion is to turn tasks into a game.
Ooh, Ooh, a game. Okay.
Like try timing yourself while you're cleaning.
Oh, I see. To see how fast you can get it done.
Exactly, make it a challenge.
Yeah, I like that.
Sometimes I'll even put on some music and have a little dance party while I'm cleaning.
That's a great idea.
You gotta make it fun, right?
Absolutely. And sometimes it's not even about changing the activity itself,
Oh, interesting.
but rather shifting our mindset about it.
Mindset, okay.
Gwen talks about viewing mundane tasks as opportunities to practice focus
Ah.
or improve efficiency.
So instead of seeing it as a chore,
Yeah,
I can reframe it as a chance to hone my superpower of organization.
exactly. You're turning lemons into lemonade.
Productivity style. I like that.
Oh, okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. The dopamine dilemma of interest-driven action,
Yes.
the power of purpose and discipline, the magic of habits, finding balance,
It's a lot.
and even jazzing up boring chores.
We've been busy.
But I think one of the most important takeaways so far is that success isn't about some grand overnight transformation.
Right, it's about those small, consistent actions.
Day after day.
Exactly, and each small step, fueled by purpose, discipline, and a dash of creativity, brings us closer to our goals.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, what's resonating with you the most from what we've discussed so far?
That's a good question.
What's one specific task or goal you've been putting off, and how can you apply these principles to finally tackle it?
I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, take a moment to ponder that. As we move into part 2 of our deep dive, we'll be back in a flash.
Welcome back. Did you have a chance to think about how you might apply those principles of motivation and discipline to your own life?
I know, I definitely did.
It's fascinating stuff.
You know what really stood out to me while I was listening?
What's that?
How Gwen and Leo kind of wove in the importance of language learning into the broader themes of discipline, habit formation, all that.
Right, it wasn't explicitly stated, but it was there.
Totally. And I thought it was brilliant how they connected those dots.
Yeah, they were really teaching more than just English.
Right. It was about valuable life skills.
Absolutely.
Applicable to anything.
It's like they were saying, hey, if you can learn a new language, you can do anything.
Exactly. Like apply that discipline and consistency.
Totally. It's a universal message.
It really is.
No matter what goals you're chasing,
Couldn't agree more.
whether it's a challenging project at work, learning a new instrument, or even establishing a healthier lifestyle.
It all comes back to those principles.
Consistency, purpose, self-motivation.
Yeah.
It's about those small wins.
Yes.
Building momentum.
Celebrating those little victories along the way.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of celebrating, I loved how Gwen and Leo used humor.
Me too.
Yeah.
It made discipline feel less intimidating.
Right. More approachable.
Like, remember Gwen's analogy about cleaning her room like a race?
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
It's a great reminder that even mundane tasks can be fun.
With a little creativity.
And a positive attitude.
Exactly. And then Leo talked about rewarding himself with naps after completing tasks.
Oh yeah, he definitely deserved those naps.
Right. It's about finding that balance.
Work and rest.
We're not robots.
We need to recharge.
Pursue our passions.
Enjoy life.
Absolutely. It's all about that balance to prevent burnout.
Couldn't agree more. And you know what else I found interesting? Even though that YouTube episode was aimed at English language learners,
Right.
the insights were so universal.
They really were.
It just goes to show the power of clear communication.
Definitely. And relatable storytelling.
It felt like a conversation between friends.
Exactly. And that's something we strive for here at the Deep Dive, too.
Absolutely. We want our listeners to feel inspired.
Empowered to take action.
But you know, Gwen and Leo brought up a really important point.
What's that?
Knowing what to do and actually doing it are two very different things.
Oh, tell me about it.
It's that classic gap between knowledge and action.
We can listen to podcasts, read books, attend workshops.
But then implementing those strategies is a whole other story.
We all struggle with that.
But that's where those habits come in.
Right. It's about creating systems and routines.
To make it easier to do the things we know are good for us.
Even when we don't feel like it.
Exactly. It's like building those mental pathways.
Making positive actions more automatic.
Less reliant on willpower.
And those systems don't have to be complicated.
Right. Sometimes the simplest strategies are the most effective.
Remember Gwen talked about setting up her workspace each morning?
To minimize distraction.
Exactly. Just that one small act can make a huge difference.
It's about removing those mental barriers.
Making it easier to get started.
And you know what? Once we get started, often the momentum takes over.
Right. We might even find ourselves enjoying the task.
And even if we don't enjoy every minute of it,
Yeah, even if it's a chore.
there's still a sense of satisfaction that comes from completing it.
It's like that feeling after a tough workout.
Yeah. You might not have loved every burpee or squat.
But you feel proud of yourself for showing up.
Pushing through
And that sense of pride can actually fuel our motivation for future challenges.
creates a positive feedback loop.
Exactly.
Oh.
So to sum it all up,
Okay.
we've learned that lasting motivation goes beyond interest.
Right.
It's about purpose, discipline, building habits, and finding that work-life balance.
And being kind to ourselves along the way.
You're not going to be perfect.
We're going to have days where we slip up.
But the key is to keep learning,
Experimenting.
keep moving forward.
Beautifully said. And remember, you don't have to do it all at once.
Start with one small change,
One new habit.
one task you've been putting off.
And see what happened.
You might surprise yourself with what you can achieve.
Yeah, it really makes you think, what am I going to do differently tomorrow?
It's not enough to just listen, right?
Nope, we got to take action.
And what I think is so great about this episode
Yeah.
is that Gwen and Leo, they don't just talk about discipline and motivation,
Yeah.
they actually live it.
In their approach to language learning.
Exactly. Emphasizing those small, consistent steps, celebrating progress.
Finding joy in the process.
It's inspiring, you know?
It really is. It reminds me that learning anything new doesn't have to be a chore
Right. It can be fun.
if you have the right mindset.
And they even talk about the importance of community.
Oh, yeah, having that support system.
Connecting with other learners, sharing tips, motivating each other.
We don't have to go it alone.
No, definitely not. Sometimes just knowing that others are facing similar challenges.
Makes all the difference.
It's like having a cheer squad for your personal growth.
I love that. A cheer squad for growth.
And speaking of journeys, remember that quote, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step."
Oh, yeah. Classic.
It's about taking that first step and then the next.
And the next.
Showing up for ourselves.
Even when it's hard.
Exactly. And this deep dive has given us so many strategies to help us along the way.
We've got a whole toolkit now.
We talked about purpose, discipline, habits, work-life balance.
We covered it all.
And it's okay to stumble along the way.
It's not about perfection.
It's about progress.
Every time we pick ourselves up,
We build resilience.
we reinforce those positive habits.
So as we wrap up,
Yes.
what's one small action you can take tomorrow to apply what you've learned today?
Maybe it's setting up your workspace, breaking down a task,
Or just reflecting on your goals?
why they matter to you,
Remember, even the smallest step can create a ripple effect.
leading to amazing transformations over time.
So embrace the journey
Celebrate those wins.
and keep diving deep into the things that light you up.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Deep Dive.
Until next time,
Keep exploring
keep learning.
and keep those motivation fires burning.